Hello there, I'm the biblical translator, and today's scripture is taken from Mark 12:13. And it says, later the leaders sent some Pharisees and supporters of Herod to trap Jesus into saying something for which he could be arrested. Teacher, they said, we know how honest you are. You are impartial and don't play favourites. You teach the way of God truthfully. Now tell us, is it all right to pay taxes to Caesar or not? Should we pay them or shouldn't we? Jesus saw through their hypocrisy and said, why are you trying to trap me? Show me a Roman coin and I'll tell you. When they handed it to him, he asked, whose picture and title is stamped on it? Caesar's, they replied. Well then, Jesus said, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and give to God what belongs to God. And his reply amazed them. Now, this might seem like chalk and cheese, but I was watching a video this afternoon, and it was about a gender-neutral woman. And she was in a classroom and she was teaching them about the pronouns. And she said, you cannot use she, he, herself, as it would be disrespectful. You had to use sie, ze, and zerself. So the class, which was curious, the students, started asking her questions. And she was able to answer most of them. But then it came to the point where they asked her which bathroom she uses. And she said, I use the teacher's bathroom, the employee's bathroom. And so they said, but if you go to the mall, which bathroom do you use then? And she said, what did she say? She said, I don't see the relevance of that. And it was interesting because for some reason it reminded me of the scripture I just read. Because they were trying to trap her into acknowledging which gender she actually assigned to. And by stating which bathroom she uses would give some indication about that. But she refused to answer. Now, I was thinking, when you're talking about render to Caesar what is Caesar's, and because his face is on the coin, you could, for me, I was applying that to her. Because if you say, I had it quite clearly before, but if you assign yourself to a particular gender, but if you're gender neutral, that's fine if they have gender neutral toilets. Some places you go and they have what they call mixed toilets. They're not really called gender neutral. They're called common toilets or unisex toilets or whatever. They're not necessarily called gender neutral toilets. But when you go to places where there are a male toilet and a female toilet, which one would you go to? Now the teacher, when they was asking her, should they call her Mr. or Mrs., she says, no, just call me Teacher Darren. So she had her nails done, manicured, and, not very long, but they were obviously manicured. She had on a shirt and tie, so it was like she had some of the female characteristics and some of the male characteristics. And I was trying to think, would she, if it came to it, use the male toilet? And why was it difficult for her to admit which toilet she used? And that's what made me think about the scripture, because she felt trapped. The same way the Pharisees were trying to trap Jesus into giving them an excuse to arrest him, It's the same way she must have felt trapped by the students trying to force her into saying something she didn't really want to say. And I think that is one of the problems, or one of the challenges, I should say, that people who are gender neutral face. Because, like I said, you know, I used to go to a gym, and when I went to the gym, I mean, as a female changing room, you take off all your clothes and you put on your swimsuit or whatever it is you do, or you change into your gym clothes and you go into a shower. And we had a man who identified as a woman in the female changing room, and that felt uncomfortable because he didn't have none of the female. It's not as if he'd changed, gone through the full transition. So all I'm saying is that I just saw that scripture and it reminded me of that situation. And I don't know if that makes sense, but if it does, I would really appreciate your thoughts. Have I covered everything? Were her students trying to trap her? Z didn't have an answer, but Jesus did. Render to Caesar what is Caesar's. Whose picture is stamped on the coin? Caesar's, they replied. Well, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar and give to God what belongs to God. In this case, the bathroom she uses represents the coin and will confirm what gender she subliminally assigns to. So I guess it's her own personal situation, her own personal choice, her own decision. I think when you're trying to teach students about gender neutrality, you need to have answers. It's no point brushing it off because it's taking away the credibility of your situation. That's the way I see it. You need to say, as I was, if you're gender neutral, you can easily say, I am biologically a woman. In this particular case, I'm biologically a woman, so I would use the female toilets out of respect. But outside that situation, you're not a male or you're not a female, so it's a bit difficult. But what I'm saying is that you need to have the answers. If you're teaching about all the pronouns and you want to be respected by people using those pronouns, you need to be able to answer these difficult questions and answer them confidently. So, the same way Jesus answered confidently, render unto Caesar what is Caesar and unto God what is God. All you've got to say is, I use a female bathroom, but that is because of a personal choice, or whatever it is, whatever way you deem to use it. Or if you use a male bathroom, same thing. It might mean more questions, but you need to anticipate that and be in a position where you can answer these questions confidently. Because if you are educating, as this lady teacher Darren said she was educating, you need to have the answers to these uncomfortable questions, and you can't be, faffing people off and saying, oh, I don't see the relevance. It's relevant for those people who don't understand and want to understand. And if you want to teach somebody, you need to teach them thoroughly. It's very common in the education system to kind of blow people off when people don't want to give the answers. And it just leaves gaps. It leaves people to assume. And when you assume, you can assume the wrong thing. So it's much better if you're clear, and and you understand yourself. Because if you understand yourself, you'll be able to educate other people. And that's all I've got to say for now. Bye-bye.